Day 2 of the 60th anniversary presidential tour of Türkiye, and another great helping of UCI Pro Series action in prospect as the riders make their way on the second longest trip of the week from Kemer to Kalkan, 167.4 kilometers for the riders to enjoy the sumptuous, beautiful vista unfolding in front of them. They make their way through the Antalya province once again out of Kemer. A much grippier and more difficult day in prospect following the day 1 sprint fest. 2 classified climbs along the way. The first of them a 3rd category climb coming early in the day, and that could play a role in the decision on who's going to make it into the break of the day. A couple of sprints in prospect, one for bonus seconds and points towards the points classification. We've got the Treasures of Türkiye sprint as well towards that white jersey classification, and then the 10 and a bit kilometer second climb of the day, second category assault. Going to prove very challenging for some of the fast men to try and hang on as we make our way then down onto the coastline. Looks like it's a flat run to the finish line. It's anything but. It's going to be really tough day, and that finale, that final 10 or 15 kilometers is really a difficult prospect for some of the riders in there. Really, Schmidt resplendent in his white jersey, the leader of the Treasures of Türkiye sprint classification. Jules Hesters has the honour of wearing the King of the Mountains jersey. He was 3rd across the line in the big sprint yesterday, and someone has to wear it, and Matteo Malicelli looking after that green points jersey on behalf of yesterday's stage winner, who's wearing the turquoise jersey, the overall race leader. Simon De Haas of Belgium and the Alpecin de Koning squad is enjoying a rich seam of form on the podium in the last 2 races, and took his first big-time professional race win with yesterday's stage 1 success, delivering for the Alpecin de Koning squad. Second time in 3 years that they've been able to take the first stage of the Presidential Cycling Tour of Türkiye as the riders are waved off out of Kemer. 23 teams in total, 3 of them at World Tour level, and 160 riders in total as well. Looking forward to another great day of racing action. The riders taken out of the urban sprawl of Kemer, presented to the crowds, and the usual pageantry and colour of UCI professional road racing at its best. Always a sight to behold for holiday makers and curious and interested bystanders. Willy Schmidt in that white jersey, breakaway specialist, getting an opportunity to chat to Matteo Malicelli. Different roles, different objectives for those 2 riders in this stage, and indeed in most stages. That's what's delicious and beautiful, isn't it, about bike racing at this level? You've got so many different riders with different skills and different physical attributes, different opportunities to shine, and plenty of different riders also showing an interest. The flag came in to get the race underway. Well, no surprise really. It's Bike Aid on the attack. The German continental level Division 3 team, which was up the road on day 1 with Vincent Dorn representing their colours and interests, and again it is the Bike Aid squad right from the get-go, really keen to show some power and strength and try and get clear of the field. And Ronan, this is a slightly more challenging prospect on day 2 to get clear of the field. It's a bit of a more lumpy profile.
Yeah, there's maybe a few riders who maybe think that today's breakaway has a chance of going to the finish with the lumpier nature to this terrain, and maybe not entirely sure which teams are going to do the chasing behind, with yesterday's stage winner and overall race leader Simon De Haas effectively ruling himself out of the stage in the interview yesterday, and thus the question remains, who will do the pace setting and the work on the front of the peloton today to control any breakaway? Yeah,
he was very clear and emphatic that it wasn't going to be for him on day 2, despite the fact that he's leading the race overall, and he had an eye on stages 7 and 8, the final 2 stages of the week, as his next opportunity to shine. And for him, this was just a stage to be got through. For others, it was an opportunity to perhaps pinch some points towards the King of the Mountains classification. Despite the fact that we have a rider wearing that jersey, these are actually the first points awarded in the race. And Ahmed Orkan, one of the most decorated bike riders in the field from the host nation. Plenty of Turkish representation in this race, and this very experienced rider is quite a useful sprinter, or at least has been in his career, has spotted more opportunity or more potential for him to deliver something by going in the breakaway, and has his eyes set now on that red jersey of leader of the King of the Mountains classification. Takes the first haul of points. 3 points is scooped up by Ahmed Orkan as he has a little look around to see how close his nearest pursuers are.
Yeah, Orkan in the breakaway yesterday came out of it pretty much empty-handed, but he's already taken maximum points there on the first KOM of the day, and today's stage back in the breakaway for a second day in a row. Bonus little kiss to the camera there, and no doubt he will wait up now, just as we see him taking a look behind. Yeah, for where are the rest of his breakaway compatriots or companions who we see just coming onto the back one here, and they'll regroup and get back to sharing the workload and working well together and try to give themselves a chance of staying out front here for as long as possible.
And Orkan happy enough to have a little bit of help. It's a long way to the finish line from here, and a solo raid would be quite the ask, and he'll be grateful, I think, for this cooperation at this point.
Yeah, a solo raid from here really would be something to write home about, I think. With some 140 kilometers or so remaining on the stage, that would be a big ask.
Willy Schmidt is in there as well, the white jersey, Treasures of Türkiye sprints classification leader, and he'll be keen to try and add to his points haul further into the stage. The diminutive figure of the Monegasque Antoine Berlin has come up here for the Bike Aid squad, and Vincent Dorn, who scored well in yesterday's first stage, is there, and he'll be grateful for the fact that he has a teammate, so multiple representation from just one team in a 5-rider breakaway. Schmidt won't be too afraid of that, though. The China Glory Continental Pro Cycling squad member is a much-travelled rider. He's had enjoyed much success in his various expeditions in and around Asia over his professional career, and he's delivering once more, representing the jersey classification and his team up front in the breakaway, and approaching the intermediate sprint. And couple of riders not going to be able to get involved in this one. This is the Treasures of Türkiye sprint, so it's an important one for Willy Schmidt, but I think he's going to be ambushed here, not quite able to get the top points.
Gajdulewicz.
Yeah, Gajdulewicz from the Maszowski Serchipolski squad, the Polish representative in the breakaway group, taking the top points, but the second place points on the line there should be enough to keep Willy Schmidt in that white jersey through into stage 3.
Interesting there as well, neither of the two Bike Aid riders in the breakaway contesting that sprint really, and perhaps with Dorn scoring points yesterday, you might have thought that that would have been a goal for him and scoring points earlier on today, but perhaps they've got their eyes in the KOM competition, because Dorn and Berlin both scored on the first KOM.
Yeah, it's hard to go for everything. You've only got so much energy to sort of farm out and parse out into the stage, and you just have to figure out how best to use your energy resource.
Yeah, especially on a groupy stage like today, in a small group like 5. A group of 5, interestingly, much more manageable for the peloton than a group of 8 yesterday on paper, but actually a group of 5 can work so much better together, and you can have everybody committed to the cause of trying to sustain the breakaway advantage, that actually you can often find that a group of 4 or 5 works much better than a group of 7, 8 or 9.
Well, more or less total cooperation between these 5 riders. They'll just knit this one back together again following the sprint. We arrive onto the climb. Not obvious that it's a climb, but the wide road and the fact it sort of lacks sort of visual stimulation in terms of telling you that it's a steep road, but it certainly is. It's not obvious, is it? But this is actually a grippy climb.
Yeah, I mean, big wide roads here. We've got 3 lanes. It's kind of difficult to really see the gradient that the riders are facing. And I think in these lower slopes, it's certainly not the steepest part of the climb. And looking at the profile here, it even looks like there's a slight flattening off near the top, perhaps even a little bit of downhill before they get to the KOM sprint line. And still in all, this climb has an average gradient of 5% over the 10 kilometers. So when you consider that the the upper slopes are maybe not as steep than the section that they're on now. I think we're going to be well above that 5% as we see both Dorn and Orkan here establish a slight advantage over their breakaway companions.
So the gap is significant, but will it be enough as the riders arrive onto the lower slopes of this climb, and motoring and lingering a little bit down towards the back of the bunch? You've got riders from the Uno X squad. They've got Alexander Kristoff among their number, although he wasn't among those riders at that point on the climb. But Alexander Kristoff in his first Tour of Turkey. It'll be interesting to see whether he has an opportunity to sprint for a maiden success in this event for a man in his final year of bike racing. Uno X rider among a host of really top-class sprinters in this field, a few of whom will be fearing and really worrying about the climbs that they face on the way to the finale. One of the extraordinary beaches dotted along the coastline here, numerous towns and villages, all peppered with beautiful hotels, lots and lots of small little, almost ramshackle, but really charming and wonderful locations. The hotels along this particular coastline really is a sort of a sleepy part of the world to visit. You can have a really relaxed and serene siesta or two.
Yeah, we've covered much of that coastline this morning on our way to the finish here, and some of the same roads that the riders will tackle in the final 20 kilometres of the stage. And it really is it's both a sight to behold, some stunning scenery, but also it should make for some great racing roads in that final 20 kilometres. So that'll be something to look forward to, as they now have the gap down to just under 1 minute and 20 seconds with still a kilometre to go on this climb. So it seems like the pace in the peloton is certainly whittling down this group's advantage, and at this point they'll be happy to kind of hold on until that KOM and fight it out for the points, and not much longer, I don't think. It
looks like they're going to get it. They've got 1 minute and 12 seconds. They're down to less than a kilometre, and as you can see, the gradient has eased somewhat here. We're still on the climb, but it looks more like a flat road at this particular point. They will ramp up a little bit more as they arrive at the finish.
Having lost close to 2 minutes there and 3 or 4 kilometres of this climb, and they should make it to the summit, but the problem then for both these riders in the breakaway and those being dropped from the bunch is that we don't descend from this climb immediately. We've got a very short downhill, but we're effectively rolling across a plateau for the next 10 kilometres or more, 20 kilometres even, with no proper descent or sustained descending to allow riders to get back on. So yeah, expect this group to be fighting it out for the KOM now, and then fighting to maintain whatever advantage they still have along that plateau.
Yeah, who's got the legs for this one? I'll remind you that the rider on the front at the moment, Ahmed Orkan, is the rider who took the top points at the first climb of the day. He's in the slightly unloved position of leading them towards this climb. Anxious perhaps of a dwindling advantage, but with a minute in hand, surely it's going to be enough, as the Bike Aid squad, the only multiple representation team in this 5-rider breakaway, launching clear. Willy Schmidt has done what he needed to. He's got the Treasures of Turkey sprint points, so he's not going to play any further role in this one. And the Polish rider as well, who's also starting to, Gajdulewicz has just disappeared, so it's now 2 against 1. The Bike Aid squad with Berlin on the front, Ahmed Orkan just trying to stay in the wheel as best he can, and Vincent Dorn waiting to launch. Dorn, I'll remind you, was second across the line at the first of the climbs today, and Ahmed Orkan takes it up as Berlin has done his duty, and it's Orkan now with only too aware that his nearest rival for the jersey, the King of the Mountains jersey, is coming off his wheel and is going to take those points by the looks of things. A relatively comfortable sprint success, the top of the climb for Vincent Dorn, who takes the 5 points on offer to add to the 2 that he scored at the first climb, and that will give him 7 points in total for this King of the Mountains classification. That's going to be 1 more than Ahmed Orkan, so nice job done by the German rider Vincent Dorn of the Bike Aid team. He's the leader of the King of the Mountains competition on stage 2. He's just got to cruise through to the finish line now and collect that red jersey to wear on stage 3.
Yeah, making as light a work as possible that you could have a 10-kilometre climb. He took the points there. Yeah,
it was a good sprint success, but it wasn't by any means an easily gained haul of points there, as we get another side of some of the extraordinary archaeology that is peppered throughout this nation, dotted along the Antalya coastline, through the feed zone, up and over the climb. And now time for the breakaway to take its bow and slip back into the welcome embrace of the main peloton, led interestingly enough by the Uni Tiedemann rocket squad. Clearly fired up here. They've got lots of riders up towards the front. Burgos BH as well, also sort of gravitating towards the front on that climb, but lots of Uni Tiedemann rocket squad riders clearly intent on keeping this pace extremely demanding for a lot of riders in there.
Yeah, really putting the power down here, and as we can see now, riders off the back, but some of the pure sprinters in this race already distanced on the climb as well. So having done that work and having distanced those riders, the Tiedemann Rockets will now be, they'll be keen to maintain that advantage and keep the pace high here to make sure that none of those pure sprinters can make their way back in.
Alexander Kristoff among the riders who've been distanced on the climb. They're left to their own devices to try and last as long as they can, but or at least to make it through to the finish line from there, but they won't play a role in the destination of honours today. And the Tiedemann Rocket squad, who've they got that can potentially surprise everyone else? Well, they've got some big names. Davide Bomboy, their sprinter, who finished 6th on day one, has been dropped, so he's not going to be the man to deliver for them today.
No, more likely Lander Locks is their rider for today's stage.
Some big names out the back. Matteo Malocelli has also been distanced. The man who finished 2nd on day one is out the back of this group, as indeed, of course, as we mentioned, is the overall race leader Simon de Haas. He'll be handing over that jersey at the end of the day. And the Visit Malta squad certainly have options, and they're keen to see what they can do. Garcia, who was on the ground yesterday, you saw him with that little washout, drop the bike through that left-hander, and he's got a little bit of netting on his left arm. He's doing a little bit of work here. They've got Giovanni Leonardi in the group, who is a very consistent sprint performer, not just in UCI events in general, but very specifically in the Tour of Türkiye. He's won a stage in the past, and he's has plenty of top 10 performances. Leonardi's certainly a rider to back.
He's a rider with 4 Pro 1s, 2 of which came in Turkey. So one on the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey, another in the Tour of Antalya. So he likes racing in this area, and he'll be hoping to pull off a similar result today.
Don't rule it out. They certainly believe the Euskaltel squad have Jan Abrasturi, who can potentially get up for glory today. I wonder who's going to be the option for the XTS Astana squad. They've, as I mentioned, their man Matteo Malocelli has been distanced on the climb, so they've got to regroup and make a new plan. Meanwhile, the Alpecin de Koning squad, despite the fact that their overall race leader, their stage 1 winner, Simon de Haas, has been dropped, still believe that they've got a great chance today. They've got Del Grosso, among others, in their lineup. Yeah,
I think Del Grosso will have to be the rider they're working for here today, with their yesterday's stage winner, de Haas, well down the road at this point.
Well, Thibaut Del Grosso's in the group, and he's going to have to depend on his teammates to try and cover this one. The Burgos BH squad just trying to create a launching pad for one of their riders to race clear. Looks a bit like Aparicio, who's just opened up a little bit of a gap inside the final 5 kilometers, and this ramp providing a launching pad in itself and an opportunity for the brave and the ambitious.
Yeah, we've talked all day about how tough this coastal road is, and we're really getting a proper view of it here as he summits this crest. Making a big move here, able to establish an advantage. The first proper move we've seen, being able to get away since that early breakaway was caught, and few riders looking to bridge across to him here, but I think with the gap that he's currently got and the Polte rider behind just sitting up, it looks like he's going to have to take this one solo to the line if he is going to make it work out.
Well, don't rule it out just yet. 4K to the line. He's going to have the advantage of the gradient in terms of a descent to come to perhaps drag him back, or at least give him a little bit of encouragement. But how much energy will he have left? And Mario Aparicio has struck out for glory today, the Burgos BH rider from Spain. 25 years of age, stage winner in the Tour of Qinghai Lake in Japan, or in China last year. Also won a couple of stages, including one this year in the Tour of Sharjah in the UAE. Indeed, the opening race of the year for him, proving to be one that of glory and hands in the air. He's had a few wins peppered around his Palmares in the last couple of years. Knows what it's like to get to the line first, get the hands up, and well, nothing succeeds like success. We'll see whether Mario Aparicio can hold off a pretty motivated peloton. It's a narrow advantage, and it's a finale that is a grippy one, particularly that last kilometre.
Yeah, they may be closing in the final 3 kilometres here to go here, but it's still very grippy roads to come as we see him just out of the saddle again, standing on the pedals, trying to maintain the advantage he's got. But yeah, plenty of undulations still to be covered here.
Oh, his legs must be absolutely screaming at this point, but he still has the strength to stay out of the saddle. Meanwhile, the group behind, 3 kilometres left, and the Alpecin de Koning squad not panicking just yet. Neither to the Unité de Moroccan squad still have the firepower, despite the fact that they've done an awful lot of riding on the front throughout the day. They still have a rider available to undertake the chase, and coming up around the outside to solve a problem. Looked like Jonas Rickard has been at the back for quite a while, but he's just arrived on the front with what he's got left. He's an ace lead-out man, but perhaps he feels that his World Tour watts are best employed in a little bit of chasing right now.
Yeah, well, 2 things at play there. There's no sense in leading out for second place, so they need to get this rider caught back before they can even think about this doing a lead-out or a sprint. And then secondly, with today's final kilometre uphill at an average of 5% for 900 metres, it's perhaps not the best suited finish for a lead out, and really positioning is the main thing. So yeah, catching our lone breakaway here and getting into that final kilometre in a good position are kind of the priorities as we see them right now.
Well, he's dangling out front. Can Aparicio possibly hang on? That final 800-900 metres at 5% is going to be super challenging. At the moment, that peloton is starting to gain a little bit of momentum. You could see it was moving around. There was a lot of movement in that group as well. Riders trying to position themselves perfectly. A little bit of assistance from the gradient, just a micro recovery for Mario Aparicio, and that'll be gratefully received. Still the peloton, and it's not exactly huge in number. Remember, 160 riders starting, a lot less than that involved, and lots of movement there as we work our way into the final 1600 metres. Rickard's done a really solid job here, but who's available? And Del Grosso nicely and finally poised in the top 10 positions. Lenardi just in front of him for the Podium Visit Malta squad. So the big names, leading lights, starting to make an appearance near the front.
Yeah, and Alpecin really closing in here on our solo breakaway, and it looks like his day is run up. He's not going to enjoy the success he was maybe starting to dream of there.
So the Alpecin de Koning squad just trying to set a steering base that will prevent anyone else from coming up and over, and what an effort indeed this is. Under the kite for Jonas Rickard and friends on the front, and the Lotto squad, who have they got available to try and sprint today? Well, will it be for Bavorter? Is their man in place, Viviani? Well, I'm not so sure he's going to be able to get there and get up and get involved, as Aberasturi as well has a lead-out man to try and set it up, and he nestles in on the wheel of Lenardi at the Visit Malta squad, Podium Visit Malta. Del Grosso in the grey of Alpecin de Koning, just behind the orange colours of Jon Aberasturi, and trying to put himself into position. We've got a big lead-out effort coming from the Polish squad. Maszowski, Sergei Polski, but will it be enough to hang on into the final 300 metres? This is where it really starts to grip, and very, very challenging indeed for the Euskaltel squad. De Boust is going to go for a long one here for the Lotto squad. Lenardi's finally poised. Aberasturi is in prime position as well, and the rest trying to muscle and get themselves into position. Tibor Del Grosso finally in a perfect position, in about 5th or 6th position, looking to come off the wheel of Giovanni Lenardi. De Boust is starting to fade a little bit. Aberasturi coming with the run, but it's Del Grosso. It's got to get up and get his hands in the air. First pro success, beautiful delivery indeed, and a wonderful success for the Alpecin de Koning squad. 2 days in a row that they have taken the glory. And with it, I suspect the overall race lead for Tibor Del Grosso. Let's get a look at this again.
Yeah, it looked like Lunardi holding on for second place there, and Lander Locks just coming through, almost on the wheel of Del Grosso. Had he been a little bit closer here, we see him come up in the Unity Rockets colours, he might well have been able to follow that wheel into second place. But as it is, he just about pips Baristuri on the line for third place with, no doubt on the winner today, Tibor Del Grosso, Alpecin Deceuninck.
Well, arms spread wide. It's a familiar victory salute in the world of cyclocross, but in road racing, it's a side I think we're going to start to get used to. Got the medals, got the flowers, got the victory, got the glory. Tibor Del Grosso.
Tibor Del Grosso için ayrıca özel bir ödülümüz daha var. Presented by sponsoru Türk Hava Yolları'ndan.
And the young Dutchman.
Tüm etap birincilerine.
One for the future, one for the present already.
Milli özel ödülü. İşte bu özel ödülün bugünkü sahibi Tibor Del Grosso.
Bit of a project player. They have him through to the end of 2027, and the Alpecin Deceuninck conveyor belt of talent produces another punchy cyclocross specialist who can transfer his talents to the road. Joined by Lander Locks and by Giovanni Lunardi to celebrate another great success. Del Grosso ahead of Lunardi and Locks. That's your top three. Jan Baristuri fourth for the second day in succession. Vinokurov getting up for fifth ahead of De Bost, who hung on for sixth. Gains Gonov, Carboni and Andreas Krohn. Just sneaking into the top 10 might be an option on stage 4, but it's all about Del Grosso on stage 2 as he takes over the overall race lead from his teammate. It's glory once again for the Alpecin Deceuninck squad. Lunardi and Lux also feeling pretty good about things, but Tibor Del Grosso is a race winner as a professional and no doubt delighted after that.
Professional victory the day after your teammate Simon Deher. Did you believe you would win today?
Yeah, for sure. Was a good chance, and we all believed in it. My team worked hard. They did a great job today. So yeah, it's great to finish it off.
This is something new for you. You're a champion of cyclocross. What were you told about the finish today and how it suited you?
Yeah, that's a really tough finish. It's of course okay uphill, and with the two climbs beforehand, it was a chance to drop all the pure sprinters. So yeah, I think. Finish like this suits me, and I showed it.
When did you realize that the top sprinters were not there anymore and that you became the hot favorite?
I don't know if I was the hot favorite because yeah, a few guys dropped, but there were still some really fast guys in the group. But yeah, the boys just tried to put me in a good position, and then yeah, it was just all out to the line, and apparently I had most left.
Was your tactic to start the sprint the latest possible?
No, not really, but yeah, I had the idea that everyone still had a kick left, and then waited for the guy in front of me to go, but then yeah, no one went, so I was like, yeah, now it's almost too late, so yeah, I was happy I could still come around and yeah, win with quite a margin.
Are you a road rider now?
No, I'm both.
Is this win the beginning of a road cycling career?
Yeah, it's my first pro win, of course, but I've been trying to yeah, develop as well as I can on the road for a few years, so it's not as if it's my first road season.
More to come. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.